Yo and hello everybody, Mike here, baseball collector, for a special edition, early edition of Beyond Cardboard. I'm really excited about my episode today because it's been a long time coming to be able to talk to the gentleman we're going to be talking to today. His name's Ed, Wesker Griff, and today was a great day. We had the Masters was on today. The baseball games have been great today. The Rangers are currently winning. We'll see if they hold on, as long as Chris Davis doesn't come up to bat, because he kills us. But Tiger won the Masters. That was insane to watch, and it started really early. So that was awesome to watch that. And then I went and played golf. So I've had a great day today. But let's get started with this episode of Beyond Cardboard. A lot of you know Ed, Wesker Griff. He has been on YouTube for a long time. He's actually one of the few guys that has kind of spanned generations on the tube, and the generations are really short time periods on YouTube, but Ed's been around for a lot of that, and so I'm excited to introduce and welcome my guest, Ed Wesker Griff. How you doing, man?
What up, Mike? Thanks for having me on. Greatly appreciate it. Looking forward to doing this. I know it's been a long time coming, but it should be a lot of fun. And thanks for accommodating me doing this early, because as I think most people know, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. Season 8 premiere tonight. Can't freaking wait. So it's going to be amazing.
I am excited as well. I love I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. Not as much as you, but I certainly love the show. It's one of the best shows, and I really enjoy it. So I'm with you. I'm excited too. So are you watching right now, Ed, where you can see some of the comments that come in?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I have it pulled up on my computer.
So as people write in questions, as you guys want to know things about Ed, write them down in the comments, and I'll try to pick them up and write them down myself. The Rangers are playing. Why are you streaming? Well, because they were losing 7-2, and I didn't think they had a shot. Now they're winning 8-7. So what are you going to do? I do have the game on my computer, and I'm sort of watching it. I'm watching it kind of happen here. So Ed, tell everybody kind of how you got started collecting and what started you in this hobby.
Well, I've been racking my brain over trying to, come up with that, because for as long as I can remember, I've been a huge fan of baseball. Played baseball when I was younger. Always was watching baseball. That's like my number one sport over all the other, out of the 4 major sports. So card collecting, I never really thought much about, collecting actually cards. I always just viewed it as an extension of my baseball fandom. And I would say probably my dad got me really into baseball, because he used to always take us to games at Veterans Stadium. He was a season ticket holder for the Phillies he got season tickets actually the first year that the vet opened. So he was always going to baseball games and whatever. And for our summer times, going down the Jersey Shore, we'd also go to a ton of baseball games. So playing baseball, picking up cards was just really an extension of my fandom for baseball.
Okay. I think that's a lot of it for us, for everybody, really. I mean, you got to be a fan of baseball, I think, to be a fan of baseball cards, I would think. Although I'm sure there are people that collect cards that aren't fans of the sport, but that just seems weird to me,
Yeah. Well, there's some people that probably are more on the business side of it, maybe don't necessarily care so much about the cards, but I've always viewed, that's how I've always gotten into baseball cards, because I'm just like a hardcore baseball fan.
What year did you start collecting? Do you remember?
The year I vividly remember the most is 1993, and that was the year that the Phillies had that incredible team that went all the way to the World Series. And that's one of the most beloved Philadelphia Phillies teams of all time. Even though that team didn't win a World Series, people still look at that team extremely fondly, and that's definitely the year year that I remember picking up cards the most. I'll see like Tops or Upper Deck or Leaf cards from '93, and it'll all bring back memories, especially Philly, specifically Philly players. So that's definitely the year I remember the most getting and buying cards.
So is Joe Carter a cuss word to you, or no?
No, he broke a lot of hearts in the city that year, and a lot of Phillies fans. You know, honestly, I'm not sure if I know I watched all the World Series games, but I was about I think I was like 4 or 5, and it must have been such a bad memory that it's so repressed that I actually don't remember my reaction to that. But I think a couple years ago, I rewatched. I don't know if it was here on YouTube or it was on like MLB or it was like some type of special. I actually rewatched that whole World Series. And when you go back and you rewatch that entire World Series, man, the Blue Jays had so many phenomenal and Hall of Fame players. So it was really something. The Phillies took them all the way to 6 games that year.
Yeah, they were a strong team, and you know, it was a great World Series. I remember it well. I had actually already graduated high school then. So what does that tell you? How old I am? Let's see. Someone says they have never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. They should be kicked off this show, right? They shouldn't even be allowed to watch.
Well, there's been that meme going around all over Twitter and Facebook with the prepare yourself. People who don't watch Game of Thrones will be telling everyone they don't watch Game of Thrones. So yeah, that's been going on. I've been noticing that more frequently, but it's pretty funny.
You gotta watch. Whoever hasn't watched it,
you gotta get into it.
You gotta go. Just start.
You could buy the DVDs for like real cheap at Target. They're like they're like $10-15. So just get them. Trust me, it's a ride, but it's an amazing ride
for sure. So for everybody that doesn't know you, there might be some people on here that might not know who you are, which is shocking, or that watch this at some point later. Who are your favorite teams? Who are your favorite players? Who do you collect? What's your PC?
Well, I'm Philly 4 for 4, so that means all the Philly teams, the Phillies, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Eagles, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Flyers. So I do all 4 teams, and it's very, very difficult, honestly, because some teams like my Flyers and the Sixers tend to get more neglected since I'm more baseball focused. But then when football season comes in, I tend to focus on the Eagles. But I do also collect the Baltimore Orioles, but I would say my main thing on my channel right now is probably Game of Thrones.
So explain the Orioles thing, because you're a Philly guy. Why the Orioles? How did that become a passion for you?
I get that quite often. I will explain it. So I grew up in the '90s, and those Phillies teams were like absolutely atrocious. After '93, I mean, you had '94, the strike year, and then from '95 probably to like 2000, maybe like 2000, the Phillies were like really, really bad. Like their main players in that year were like Greg Jeffries, Mark Whitten, Todd Seal. So they had like a ton of really bad players. But my favorite player growing up was always Cal Ripken. He was always my favorite overall baseball player, especially because I played shortstop, I played second base, and I played third base. So I played a lot of positions that Cal Ripken used to play. Wore his number when I used to play Little League, so I always really liked him, and I always sought after his cards. So I would say in like 2004, 2005, I went to a bunch of Orioles games at Camden Yards, and I just like fell in love with that ballpark. That ballpark's incredible.
I agree.
Really great experience. And at the time, the Orioles were like going through the doldrums. So going to Camden Yards and there only being like 5,000 to 10,000 people there kind of brought back childhood memories of going to the Vet when there was only 5,000 to 10,000 people there watching a really bad team. So I always just kind of liked the Orioles, and it was never an issue with the Phillies because they didn't have interleague, and that interleague I think started in like '98 or '99. So they really don't play each other really often, so I always viewed it as Phillies fan, but I also follow the American. If I follow the American League, I watch the Orioles and follow the Orioles.
Well, you and my wife has something in common. You both love Cal Ripken. I don't know if you saw the video I posted last night.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I remember Julie saying that. Yeah, she really liked Cal Ripken.
She wants to make babies with Cal Ripken.
I think we like Cal Ripken for different reasons, though.
I hope so. Yes.
Yeah.
I really hope so. So what's you do I just said do. You have a lot of different variety within your collection. Is there a niche of collecting that you wish you had started that you haven't, or that you wish you could start?
Yeah, and you're gonna get a kick out of this.
Okay.
Definitely vintage.
Hey, all right.
You gotta be. Yeah, I've never really delved into vintage, and honestly, I'm just gonna just tell you, like, be straight with you. The thing about vintage that just really drives me nuts is it's so. You gotta really be educated. You gotta be very educated on prices. You gotta be very educated on condition. You gotta know what you're looking for, and you gotta know if you're getting. Yeah, what's up?
I think we just lost our connection somehow.
Live stream crapped out.
Yep, but I think we're back up.
Oh wait, no, it's back up now.
Okay, keep going.
Is it going?
It's
okay.
going.
All right. Well, in Philadelphia, like I was saying, in Philadelphia, there's tons of dealers at card shows that sell vintage cards, and Ray will know this, Mike, and Mike O will know this. When you go around and you see these prices of cards, and they're insane value. I mean, I think one dealer wanted close to $400 for a '61 Roger Maris, and it was clearly off center. The corners were beat to crap. So you look at that, it's for someone who doesn't have the knowledge and doesn't know what they're looking for, it's frankly intimidating. So I don't even look at it. I don't even go over there. I would like to go over there, but I don't know what to look for.
Yeah, I totally get that. It can be, and I mean, I have to tell you, I've learned a lot from making mistakes, quite frankly, and overpaying, but it's an education that's well worth it, because vintage is pretty great, and that's where slabbing comes in. I think I got out of trying to pick up raw cards because I'm just you know what, I don't want to try to figure out if this is legit or not. I'm just going to buy slabs, and that doesn't mean they're all perfect either. PSA makes mistakes too, but I have a much better shot than I do on my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what I even mean about what to look for and being educated, because I mean, sometimes even if you do have that knowledge and you do know what you're looking for, and you send the card into SGC or you send it into PSA, and it comes back maybe recolored or trim or something like that. So when you buy vintage, you just got to be from my perspective, you just have to be very knowledgeable and very cautious if you're going the raw route.
Definitely.
So that's always been something I want to get into. I definitely want to start picking up some vintage Phillies and some vintage Orioles, but it just hasn't happened because of that, because of those holdups.
Sure, those are fair obstacles to try to overcome, and we've all been there. But what is kind of your dream item? If you could have one thing, what would you want?
That's an easy one. It's not going to be sports related. For Game of Thrones collecting, it would be the Emilia Clarke, who plays Daenerys Targaryen. One of her autographs, either from season 1 or season 2. Now I'll tell you a pretty crazy story. When I first started collecting the Game of Thrones cards, which was back in 2014, or late 2014, early 2015. Her autograph card, she only has 2 autograph cards in the whole product line. They're releasing a new set this year with one of her autos in it, but that's going to be interesting to see how that affects the market. But when I first started collecting, that card was $300, The season 1 one was 300, and the season 2 one was around 300 to 350. Those cards now, the season 2 one sells for over 1,000. And if you really get some serious action on the auctions, if in the event it does come to an auction, it'll go upwards around to like $1,200.
Wow.
And the season 1 autograph card of hers, that sells for a little less, but it's still right around the 1,000 range. So 2 very super expensive cards that have like quadrupled since I started collecting.
Wow. That's. Do you wish you would have gotten it back then?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I could buy like 3 of them now for what they go for now. But at the time, I remember thinking, oh man, I'm just gonna have to save up for that card. $300 is a lot to shell out for just an autograph card. But as the show got more popular, and as the show got more bigger, and it got bigger every year, I mean, it just went through the roof. But it's worked out for me in the end because I picked up cards when I first started that are like way more money now. Like I got most of my Kit Haringtons that are like now like $200 to $300. So I've won some battles, but I definitely lost out on that one. And that, judge it by how the show ends or whatever and how it's received, that card will probably even go up more. So it might even be a $2,000 card by the end of season 8. So who knows?
Well, Jeff asked a good question, and I'll take it another step. You know, Game of Thrones, this is their last season. Do you think the secondary market for cards for Game of Thrones will continue to thrive? Or as the season or as the show kind of fades into memory and other things come along, do you think it'll hold up? That's my question.
Yeah, I've had someone ask me this before, and the 2 things I'll say is I feel like it depends on how the show will end. So if the show reaches a finale where the fans really like it and it's critically received real well, like if it cements itself as one of the best shows of all time, then it's definitely probably will increase in value. If it has an ending like Dexter, that I imagine that it's going to, like, the prices will dip. It won't retain as much value. But I think one of the things that a lot of people have to understand about non-sports autograph cards or memorabilia cards is once those cards are out for a couple of years, they really disappear. Like, a lot of the print runs on the cards they're nowhere near as big as, like, the major sports companies like Topps or Panini. They're, like, season 1 of Game of Thrones, I think they only made about, like, 3,000 boxes. It was, like, 3,000 to 4,000 boxes total. So there's really, like, not a lot out there. And once those cards hit the market and people buy those cards, those cards go into collections, and those cards might never come out again. So, for instance, one of the cards that I recently picked up for my season 5, it took me 2 years to track that card down. Like, it took so long to get that card to pick it up on eBay. I mean, some of these cards are just extremely difficult to find.
How much are boxes typically of Game of Thrones? Just curious. I don't know. So
they usually go between 50 to, upon release, they're like 50 to 55. Their retail from Rittenhouse, if you bought it from them, is like 65 to 70, I think. But you could get it on like Blowout, or you can get it from another online distributor for like around like 55 to 60. Now, I'll tell you, season 1, a box of season 1, when that first came out, that was like $65. It's probably around, if you can find the sealed box of it now, it's probably like $350 to $400. And the insane thing is the season 2 box, and out of all the seasons, all the product lines, season 2 is the most expensive season autograph-wise. So a box of season 2 sells for like $750 sealed.
Wow.
And it retailed for like $65. That's pretty crazy. If you bought a case of that stuff and like you never opened it, like some people do that. I know Eric, those back pages, tends to like buy blasters and boxes and stuff like and hold them. But if you would have did that with season 2 of Game of Thrones, bought a case of that stuff for like $600, you're sitting on like a couple grand worth of cardboard.
Do you have any unsealed or unbroken boxes?
No. The only seasons that I've opened up a season 4 box. I've opened up a few season 5s, a couple season 6s, and I did I think 3 to 4 boxes of season 7.
You did one last year at the National, right?
Yes, I did I think 2 last year at the National, and I got a couple cards for my sets. I didn't do anything amazing. I did buy a couple for Black Friday because they were on sale on Blowout, and I did amazing. I pulled a Daenerys Targaryen relic card, so doubled my money there. And then I also got a Joe Dempsey, who plays Gendry. That was his first autograph. That was a huge hit from season 7. So I was freaking out when I pulled that.
Do you collect the base sets too, or just the autographs?
Just the autos.
Okay, fair enough. If you could have a beer with any cast member of Game of Thrones, who would it be?
Well, I know you normally ask with players.
Yes.
But I'll do players and I'll do GOT. For players, has to be Chris Coast. And that's like a totally random one. You probably don't even know who that
Chris
is. But
Coast?
he was on the 2008 Phillies team. He was our backup catcher, and he has a real interesting story. He's like probably one of my favorite Phillies of all time. He was like a 33-year-old rookie. He spent about 10 years in the minor leagues and just waiting to get a call to the show. And he finally got through in, I think, 2007. And when he got his opportunities, when he got his starts, he did really, really well. He was like a 300 hitter, and he did real well. Was on the 08 team, and he was on the 09 team, but then the Phillies parted ways with him, and I think he wound up going on the Astros. He played a couple more years. He had a decent career, but definitely love to have a beer with him. Really cool guy. Probably another player I would like to have a beer with, although he probably wouldn't say much, would be Chase Utley. He's one of my favorite players of all time. He's a real silent dude, though, so I don't know how much he would say. And then for the cast, I would love to have maybe a beer with, let's think about this one. Probably...
I threw you off a little.
Rory McCann. I'll say the Hound. Because
Okay.
the Hound is my favorite character, so he seems like a really, really cool dude. It'd be cool to have a beer with him.
I wouldn't mind having a beer with Sansa.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, too.
But what you just said something I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask a follow up to the Utley thing. He's one of your favorite players. Do you think Utley's a Hall of Famer?
I got into a huge comment war with somebody about this. I made a passing comment in one of my videos. Was my Philly show recap, and I showed off a Chase Utley autograph, and I just made a little passing comment saying I think he has a chance the way the Hall of Fame voters are swinging more towards sabermetrics, and since Harold Baines got in, our boy Harold the GOAT, since he got in, there's a possibility that Chase Utley could get in since has really, really great sabermetric numbers. And some dude blew up at me in the comments, and we went back and forth for a while. But overall, if you do look at his statistics, sabermetric-wise, he does have a outside chance of maybe making it. I don't think he'll get voted in by the writers, but I do think eventually maybe on a veterans committee, because he's real popular with his peers. I mean, players love him. They love the way he plays. He has an old-school mentality on how he plays. So who knows? He might get in. It's possible.
I think that Rollins should be in before Utley.
Oh, I agree with that, yeah. Jimmy was a MVP, and he's also the all-time hits leader for the Phillies, so I do think he'll get in.
How many different ballparks have you been to see games at?
I've been to Veterans Stadium. I've been to Citizens Bank Park, Oriole Park at Camden Yards, Washington Nationals Park. I'm not sure what that's called. I think it's just called Nationals Park. And when we went the National last year, I went to Progressive Field.
Nice. Did you like it?
So that's it. I think that's only like it's 5 parks, right?
Yeah, that's okay though.
Yeah, 5.
Are you going to be going to the National this year?
Yes.
All right.
Plan on going.
Can you convince Ray from Philly to go?
Ray, he had a chance. Ray did have a chance. He entered Filmington's contest, and he was going to try to go that way. But Ray, I don't think Ray's going. He's going to Atlantic City 2020.
Yeah, I know. I just bust his chops about it all the time. But what days are you going to be at the National?
Right now, I think it's going to be Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
I'm going with, I'm going to be traveling with Mike. Me and Mike are going. And then, so whatever days Mike gets, that's the days that I'll be going with since I'm traveling with him.
Are you going to fly or drive?
I'm going to fly, and I've never flown before. I've never been on a plane before.
Really?
Yeah. Never been on a plane before, man.
Well,
I know that's crazy.
It's no big deal. It's going to be very anticlimactic for you, I promise. It's like riding in a car, except you're in the air 30,000 feet. No biggie. Let's see. What else I want to talk to you about? Let's talk about YouTube a little bit and kind of how you got started in YouTube. Again, I said at the very beginning, that's so mean, Mike. It cometh an egg, which I'll say it the right way. It cometh an egg. He's being mean. Lone Star Legends cards. Man, we got a lot of local Dallas-Fort Worth people on now, which is cool. Back to YouTube. So you've been around a long time. When did you start doing videos? What got you started? Tell me about that.
Do you want like the long story or the short story?
How about a medium story? Somewhere in the middle.
Okay. Basically, I would say around 2009, 2010 was really getting back into TTMing, which is through the mail autographs. Basically, you write a letter to a player, send them a card, and you ask if they can sign the card for you, and then you send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and they send it back to you. So I did TTMing as a kid, and had some pretty amazing successes. I got Derek Jeter one year to sign a card for me. So I've always had really nice memories and always had some really nice successes doing TTMing. So wanted to get back into that. This was a little after high school, and did just a regular search on Google for TTMing, and one of the top thing that came up was this guy's blog. He had an Orioles TTMing blog on Blogger, which I don't even think is a website anymore. I think they got rid of that. And I followed his blog. He would post like pretty much twice a day, so there was always like news updates coming in. And I was trying to get back into TTMing, so I was reading what this guy was doing, and sent him a message. I'm like, hey, like, how do you find addresses and like what's everything you do? And he kind of like just like blew me off. He was kind of like, he's kind of a jerk about it. So that rubbed me the wrong way. So I said, goodbye, Blogger. I'm never going back to Blogger again. And I think Blogger went out of business, like they went under a couple years ago. But anyway, the second search function on there was YouTube, and it was Mike of the Autograph Network.
Legend, absolute legend.
Yep. And so I started watching his videos, and this is in 2010, and Mike always would update daily videos. And back then, the TTM community kind of went hand in hand with the sports card community. They were really intermingled. They still are today, but back then it was like, it was a lot bigger. The TTM community was way larger. But anyways, so I had a YouTube account already because I had it back in high school. So I sent Mike a message one day because there used to be an inbox feature on the YouTube website, a private message feature. So sent him a message and saying, hey, I'm really getting back into the TTMing hobby. Do you have any advice, any tips, or anything like that? And he responded that same day, was super, super nice. Just like sent me a whole bunch of addresses on how to get players and all the websites to go to, websites where I can get addresses for free, everything like that. And then he was like, listen, when you get TTMs in, make some videos. If you have a camera, make videos. Join the community, be an active participant. So I would say a couple months later, went out, bought a camera, started making videos, started doing TTM videos. And I think Mike was like one of the first people to comment on my videos and say, hey man, welcome to the community. Glad to see a video. Keep them coming. Keep sending them out. And that's how I got into this whole crazy thing.
That is awesome. What do you like about the community? What do you think is so special about it?
The community is just really, 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 like, it's hard to describe because it's like just like at the end of the day, it's a bunch of us. Like we like a lot of us haven't met each other in person, so I mean technically we're kind of strangers to one another since we haven't met, but we're just all showing off our collections and we're all just transferring information and like I don't, and I mean this honestly, I don't think I would be collecting at the level I'm collecting now if it wasn't for the YouTube community and the Facebook community, because I just love the camaraderie that we guys have. It's just like, it's kind of hard to describe. It's just, and being around for as long as I have been, I've seen so much, change. A lot of people come and go over the years.
Drama.
People disappear. Yeah, definitely drama. A lot of it. But it's just fun. It's so much fun. It just adds so much excitement and fun into the hobby, And I think a lot of us can say, I'm pretty sure confidently that like people in our everyday lives don't collect sports cards. So it's like you go to work or you talk to your friends and they can't relate to buying sports cards or getting outbidding on eBay and missing out on a set card or completing the set or finishing a registry. They're looking at you like you're crazy. But you go on here and you tell people and you're getting high, like people are like congratulating you. They're like, good job, keep it up. I mean, it's fun, dude. It's so much fun. When
I think about it this way, Ed, is that first of all, I wouldn't know. I've met so many great people, and made really good friends. But if I would have gotten a card, like I've been collecting forever, right? Way longer than I've been doing YouTube. And I would get a card before and I would have no one to share it with, so to speak. And when I started finding YouTube videos and going, oh man, this is a thing, started making my own content, I'm like, man, if only a few people watch this, that would be great, because then I would have another partner in crime, so to speak, that'll actually care that I got 1973 Topps Louis Aparicio, whatever, right? I mean, just some random thing that no one else, like you said, would care about in my normal life. And I mean, people come over to my house and come to my room and they're like, oh, that's neat, but they don't really understand. Whereas if you came to my room, you would have a different reaction and it would be much more, you would get it, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's hard to find that, and we have a really cool group of folks that do that, or that get it with us on our channels. So you are definitely awesome. By the way, congratulations on being the top vote getter for the 2019 class of the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame. Congrats.
Oh, thanks. And that was really cool to see. I know Mike goes in the chat last year. He was the top one. But yeah, that's humbling. It's real cool to see everyone the way they voted. And like I was telling you a little bit earlier, I was just really, really glad to see a lot of people. Like, I know on my ballot specifically, I had a different criteria compared to other people, and that's fine. I mean, we can all do that. And I was just happy and glad to see my boy Tommy Goff get in. I was really, really thrilled about that. I remember last year at the National, when we first met, that was like one of the first things I told you. I'm like, yo, we need to try to get my boy Tommy Goff in there. So And I'm really glad that a lot of the the guys who have been around for a year or two are starting to check out some of the guys who got me into YouTube, and their videos are still all up there. So it's great to see people discovering new channels. Even though these new channels that they're discovering have been here for a long time, and that to me is awesome. It's great.
It is, and it's part of educating the new guys. Again, I've only been doing this for 4 or 5 years, I guess, but there's a lot of people, there's a lot of channels, and we just got to make sure we're checking them all out. So I got to know about the Wesker Griff thing. What the heck does that mean? Where did it come from?
Okay. I get that a lot, and actually over the years, a couple people have hinted at or tried to suggest that I change it, but that was the name I made when I was in high school. Actually, I was a junior. Yeah, it was my junior year in high school. So that was 2007. So I made and YouTube was not really a big website back then. It was just a video service where people were posting 30-second, cat videos or
right.
some silly home movie project stuff. So there was a kid that sat at our lunch table that was really into making small little student films. So I made the account to subscribe to his channel, and at our lunch table we would always talk about Resident Evil. That was the number one thing we would always talk about. And I think that year was the year that they did all the GameCube port release. They released all the games to the GameCube as a port release.
Okay.
So they were. What that means basically, those games like Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, they were released on PlayStation, but they upgraded them to GameCube. So anyway, I'm getting off track here.
It's all right.
But one of the characters named in the series is named Wesker. He's the main antagonist. So, and I always thought he was an interesting character. So I put my first name as Wesker. So then the second part of my name is Griff, and that is a shortened name for my high school history teacher, who was he was a really cool dude, kind of a character, real funny, but he was a real passionate history teacher. So his last name was Griffiths. So I made it. I didn't want to put his last name out on YouTube, so I just made it Griff. So I shortened it to Wesker Griff, and I know that has nothing to do with any of the content I post on my channel. And a couple of people were it's real. I will say that my name, my username is it is kind of odd. I do agree, but it kind of, I don't know, it kind of stands out, I guess, I feel because it says nothing about my channel.
You can't change it now. It doesn't have, I mean, yeah, I'm really, at least it's original. I'm baseball collector, for crying out loud. I mean, give me a break. So Ray is Ray from Philly. Boy, that's original. His name is Ray, and he's from Philly. So I think it's neat, and I don't think you should change. Don't even think about it, changing it. Plus, you're a Hall of Famer now. Now everybody knows what Wesker Griff is. They think of you. So don't change it. Go ahead. You want to say something?
All right, it's be a trademark. I'm going to sell merchandise with Wesker Griff on it.
That's right. You should. Are there any, I mean, you mentioned Tommy Golf. Are there any other YouTubers that you kind of looked up to back in the day or still do?
Well, definitely I got to give props to Mike, the Autograph Network. He's really the guy that really, and he's still active too. I know he doesn't do a lot of videos, but he does a podcast with Zane Savage, who is also another real old school TTM YouTuber, and Stacy Schaefer, Double S. Also, those three guys were the big three TTM honchos here in the community for a really long time. So I got to give my props to Mike, because he's really the guy that encouraged me, and as I was telling you, to make the video. So got to say him. Sports card wise, I really got to say it was probably a mix between AR Falcon 77 Michael, Puff Bear 359, and probably my friend on here who doesn't make videos anymore, Anthony, Funky Diabetic 1. Those guys all really kind of converted me more to doing sports cards. And now if you look at my channel now, I really strayed away from doing TTMs. I haven't sent any TTM requests out in a long time. And really, my channel started out as more as a TTM channel, but now I just really do sports cards and Game of Thrones. But those are some of the guys that really, really jump-started and inspired me to start doing the videos and picking up cards.
It's awesome. I'm going to change my name to Mike from Texas just to make it easy. Because we got Mark from Kentucky and Ray from Philly. But what about the community is growing. Are there any new YouTubers you can think of that you think are doing a good job?
Here's the thing. The community right now is insane. And what I mean by that is it's so big. Like, the amount of videos that get posted daily, it's just physically impossible to watch every single video that gets posted. That's how fast and how big this community is growing. It's really, really something to see.
Unless you're Jim Bay. Jim Bay can watch them all somehow.
Yes, he does, because he thanks ye for all.
Yes, he does.
But Jim's the man. But it's just there's just so much stuff that gets posted, and I feel bad sometimes because I don't get around to seeing everyone's videos. But newer YouTubers, I've really been watching. He's not really new. I think he's been on here for 1 year. Bowman 1951. He really puts a lot of work into a lot of production into his videos. He does like the vlogs, and so he always does like a really, really great job with his videos. Scotty Tradition, I know he's in the chat. I've been watching a lot of his videos, and I think he's coming up on maybe a little over a year. But I'm telling you, there's always people that are just, joining maybe today, maybe they joined last week, and it's crazy how much this community has just really pretty much exploded, I would say, over the last year to 2 years. It's crazy.
And that's a good thing, I think, overall.
Oh, yeah, definitely a good thing.
For sure. So, did you grow up in the Philly area?
Yeah. Born and raised.
Born and raised. I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised.
Specifically the part of the city that I'm from, because Philadelphia is, compared to maybe like New York or maybe like Boston or other major cities, Philadelphia is really a city of neighborhoods.
Okay.
So there's all different neighborhoods throughout the city. I mean, and then there's sections of the city. I mean, you got South Philly, where I'm pretty sure that's where Ray's from. And then you got like West Philly, you got North Philly, and then you got Northeast Philly, and I'm from Northeast Philly.
Okay. Where was Vince Papali from? South Philly?
Yeah, Vince, he's from South Philly.
Okay, so...
Well, most of all our Italian brothers are from South Philly.
Gotcha.
All the Paisanos are from South Philly.
Gotcha. So what do you do besides making videos all the time? What do you do during your day job?
I work in a restaurant.
Okay.
So I'm a server in a restaurant. The restaurant's in Philly, and I would say it's more of like a mid-end to higher-end restaurant. So 2 people on average normally spend around like $60 to $100.
Okay.
So it's pretty expensive.
So when the Nationals in Philly, I can come there and give you a nice tip.
I don't think I'm going to be straight with you. With the way our city is, with taxes and all that BS that city council does, there's no way the National would ever be in Philadelphia. They would tax the National to the hilt and they would go bankrupt.
Good point. You said you played baseball a little bit. You talked about playing short and wearing Cal Ripken's number in second base. What other sports did you play when you were younger besides baseball?
Just specifically baseball. And I did do a little bowling for about maybe like 2 to 3 years. I was pretty damn good at bowling, but I just got out of playing that. I got out of playing baseball too, unfortunately. I kind of wish I kept playing baseball.
What was your bowling average?
Batting average for baseball?
No, your bowling average, yeah.
Bowling average, I think it was around like maybe like a 200 to like 250.
Wow.
Like I was pretty damn good. I would not get a strike on every other one, but I was pretty damn good.
I thought I bowled when I was a kid too, and probably till I was 13 or 14, and I carried about a 185 to 190 average, but not anymore. I mean, I would go out if I went out today. I can roll a 150, no problem, but I'm not bowling.
It was weird though.
250.
2 times actually, I was at the bowling alley when we used to do our matches. 2 times when I was at it, and this was like years apart. 2 separate occasions, someone on the lane rolled a perfect.
Oh, really?
300. Yeah, that's like rare. Like you rarely see that, but it was crazy.
Do you have any other hobbies besides cards?
Yeah, I'm really, really, really into music, concerts. I go to a lot of them. I'm lucky to be from a city where there's tons of musical venues. We got a lot of them here in Philly, so I usually go to around like 20, I would say around like 20 to 30 concerts a year. So music was a real, real big part of my life. So I go to a lot of different shows, seen a lot of different artists and groups. Also, if you see the first video on my channel, you know that I'm into Japanese anime. Although I've really scaled back on that in recent years, I've kind of I haven't really watched anything new. I would say the only thing that I consistently watch now is Mobile Suit Gundam,
Okay.
which is like a robot. It's a robot anime, and they're supposed to be making a movie of it, a live action movie here. So you'll probably be hearing that in the coming years because I'm sure that'll get like pretty popular.
Are you going to any concert soon? What's your next concert you're going to?
Next concert I'm going to, I actually just bought tickets for it. I'm going to see Morrissey in Camden, New Jersey, and I'm going down to Maryland to see him in Columbia. I think he's playing Columbia, Maryland. So I'm going to those 2 dates.
What was your first concert?
First concert, I'm trying to think here. The 2003 Vans Warped Tour.
Okay.
Oh, no. Actually, no. First concert was actually at the Trump Marina. Was the Sex Pistols.
Okay, that's a good one. Who have you seen the most? What band or act have you seen the most?
What band have I seen the most? That's a tough one. I would say, well, it's probably either the Bouncing Souls, who are a New Jersey punk band. They've been around since the 80s. Probably Morrissey. I've seen him 8 times.
Wow. Soon to be 10.
What's that?
Soon to be 10.
Oh, yeah, soon to be 10, so he'll be the leader. And I've actually seen the band Brand New a lot, even though I wasn't really into them as much, because I always go to the concerts with my brother, because he's really into music as well. So I got dragged along to a couple of those shows, so I've seen them quite a number of times too.
I have to say this real quick. Filmington. There's your 3 shout-outs. There you go.
By the way, I see Silver Jackify in the comments here.
Yeah.
And he's from like northern Jersey. I could say with confidence we have probably been to the same concerts before. We have probably been to the same shows before. He actually went to Weezer and the Pixies at M&T Bank in Camden, New Jersey, and I was supposed to go to that show, but that day was like an absolute monsoon. It was like tropical. It was like, I think Philadelphia got like 5 to 6 inches of water. It was just like constant downpour, and I had lawn tickets, so I'm like, well, I'm not gonna just stand in the rain the entire show, so I just ate those tickets and didn't wind up going.
Well, my first concert, I don't know if you've heard of them before, The Cult is who I went and saw the first time.
That's an 80s band, right?
It is. Firewoman is their
Yeah.
big song. And then I've been to 2 concerts this year. I've seen Nine Inch Nails this year, and
They're good.
Muse. So I went and saw Muse.
Okay.
So,
I've seen Muse before. I saw them open up for The Cure back in 2004. So that was a real long time ago. But I haven't seen them since.
Yeah, they're one of the better bands I think out there. Period, making music. They just are amazing. Let's see. I think we're about ready for some rapid fire. What do you think?
Fire it up.
But let me
Fire it up.
I do have one question from the audience that I have to ask you.
Yeah, sure. Is it from Mike O?
It's from Mike O, and he wants to know your thoughts on Dan Duquette and Chris Davis.
All right, Mike O with an absolute troll question because
he's kind of being a dick.
As Mike O is well aware, I went into a huge rant about Dan Duquette and Chris Davis. I would say maybe a couple days ago, and it was like, let's just say if I do the same rant now that I did to Mike O, like your channel will be demonetized. You might get a copyright strike, and YouTube will probably shut down your channel. But I was so heated over Chris Davis and Dan Duquette. First of all, Dan Duquette needs to be banned from baseball. If you look at what he did, like when he came into the Orioles, because Andy McPhail left him a really nice team. Like they had a lot of nice pieces. He came in and he literally gutted that entire team, strapped them with god-awful contracts. So I'm trying to keep it clean here. But he just obliterated that Orioles team, and I'm blown away that they have a couple wins already this year because they're really, like if you look at their roster this year, they have like a bunch of AAA players, plus Trey Mancini, plus like Chris Davis. That's like not a good combo. And I'm blown away that they won a game against the Red Sox, and I think they took 2 against the Yankees. So I don't know how that happened, but and then Chris Davis, this dude.
He had 3 hits yesterday.
I'm going to unleash on Chris Davis a little bit. Chris Davis, man, this dude is making $92 million. Just think about this, BBC. He's making $92 million. This guy has 3 hits this year. He's hit an 0.79. He is signed for another 2 years.
I know.
So the Orioles have to pay this man for another 2 years. Now, if he continues on the pace he's continuing on, which is getting 3 hits every month, this guy's got to have a little professional integrity and a little pride, a little professional pride, and void out the remaining 2 years of his contract. And that has happened before in baseball. Gilmesh did it with the Royals. Nakayoshin for the Twins did it. And there was one other player that did it. I actually researched this when I was ranting to Ray and Mike O about it. But it is an absolute, it's embarrassing how bad he is. And maybe saying this, I'll black hat him and he'll be a little respectable and it'll make me look like a dope. But I highly doubt that. He has been an absolute trash can.
Yeah, he is got some work to do. Former Texas Ranger, by the way. You're welcome. And he's had some good seasons. You know, he hasn't been a total, flop his entire career. So.
Thank you for letting me unleash that.
You're welcome. Josh Hamilton's still being paid by the Angels, so he hadn't played a game in 2 years. So.
I did see that. They were Fangraphs actually just recently wrote an article about this. Josh Hamilton, the largest money lost by an organization is actually the Angels. They lost $68 billion when they DFA'd Josh Hamilton. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yep.
But because they were talking about what are the Orioles going to do with Chris Davis? Like if he doesn't get a hit, if he goes 0 for 100, are they going to have to release him? So if the Orioles do release Chris Davis, they'll wind up having the worst money loss in the history of baseball at $92 million.
And you see all these guys getting all these extensions now. It's really interesting it's like the money's just growing on trees for baseball teams. They don't care. You know, they're just like, all right, we'll extend, and these guys that are largely unproven are getting these huge contract extensions so that they don't hit free agency and cost them $430 million like Mike Trout is, you know. But I still think it's fiscally irresponsible for teams to be doing this. But whatever.
Well, some of the extensions have been good though. Like I know the Phillies locked up Aaron Nola. They bought out his remaining arbitration years. The money makes sense for that. And I think what you're seeing with all these extensions are teams just don't want the player to go to free agency. I don't think, like, teams look at what the Nationals did with Harper and they just don't want that to happen.
Right.
Like where the player turns down the qualifying offer, goes to free agency, and like it doesn't look good for the team's fans to let a premier player go like that.
For sure. All right, rapid fire time. Here we go. You ready?
Fired up?
All right, remember, rapid fire is supposed to be quick answers, although I reserve the right to stop you and harass you if your answer is dumb. You ready?
Yeah, get an explanation, right?
That's right. If I need an explanation, I will ask. Favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
I like it. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Vanilla bean or mint chocolate chip.
Okay. Hot dog, mustard or ketchup? This is important. Mustard.
Ketchup is nasty.
Yes. When you drink coffee.
On a hot dog.
Do you drink coffee?
On French fries. On a hot dog, it's nasty.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you drink coffee?
No.
Do you drink any caffeinated beverage?
I used to drink soda. Stopped drinking soda 2 years ago because I got a kidney stone, and the pain of that has instilled the fear to never drink a soda ever again in my life.
Smart. Are you a good dancer?
No.
No. What kind of car do you drive?
I can dance. I'm not afraid to dance, but I am a horrible dancer.
All right. What kind of car do you drive?
A Toyota Corolla.
Nice. Good family car. What's your favorite candy bar?
Nestle Crunch Bar.
Ooh, that's a good one. What's your favorite breakfast cereal?
Cocoa Krispies.
Oh, nice. Chocolate, huh? You're a chocolate guy?
Yeah, you're seeing a trend here of all food that's not good for you.
Well, my next question is, what's your favorite soda? You can still have a favorite soda if you don't drink it anymore, right? So what's your favorite soda?
When I was drinking soda, probably just regular Coca-Cola. Keep it basic.
Fair enough. What's your favorite board game?
Battleship.
All right. Favorite movie franchise?
That's kind of hard. If it was a couple years ago, I would have said Star Wars easily, but I absolutely hated The Last Jedi. I'll go with the MCU. They've been really, really good recently, so I'll go with the MCU.
Did you see the new trailer for the new Star Wars? The Rise of Skywalker?
I saw it briefly. None of the characters that are around anymore I'm super interested in. I'll go see it, definitely, but it's not must-watch for me.
What's your favorite video game?
Video game franchise or video game? Like, just overall video game?
Both.
Favorite video game franchise is Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
Favorite video game of all time, probably Resident Evil 2 or I'll go old school. I'll say Star Fox for N64.
Nice. That is old school. That's my era. What's your favorite sport to play?
Baseball.
What's your favorite sport to watch?
I'll say baseball, but to keep it up a little bit, another sport really great live is hockey. Hockey live is incredible.
I agree. And that's okay. That's two correct answers. To watch on television or to watch in person. That's great. What was your first car? I asked you what car you drive now. What was your first car you ever had?
Same Toyota Corolla. Just upgraded the year.
I'm about to say, are you still driving it from back in the day?
Yeah.
Man,
those things last forever, man.
I hear
Those
you.
Japanese people, man, they really know how to make a car.
They do. What was the last movie you cried at?
This is a trick question, isn't it?
It is a trick question. You're supposed to say, I don't cry at movies, dang it.
Actually, I'm gonna be like, tell you legit. I've watched the Beyond Cardboard before, and when you asked this question, I seriously racked my brain on what movies have ever made me cry. And honestly, can't in the theater, never have none. Although when I saw Avengers Infinity War, there was a dude dressed up as Spider-Man who literally was bawling his eyes out next to me.
Really?
But that really did happen. But one movie that did like kind of mess me up a little bit, like you just have that big lump in your throat, Manchester by the Sea. Have you ever seen that?
I have not.
Yeah. That movie is just so it deals with like grief and loss, and when you watch that movie you just get a gigantic lump in your throat.
Man.
It's a real sad movie.
I can't wait to go back after we're done with this and read all the comments, because apparently they're having a great time. It's just cracking me up. I'm seeing all this stuff fly on my screen, and I can't really. I'm trying not to watch myself over here, but.
Well, I saw Mike Go put Ed cried after Star Wars.
Yeah.
When spoiler alert, when Han Solo died in the Force Awakens, like there were so many people in my movie theater crying. I was not crying.
But there were
but,
criers.
Like, there was tons of people. Like, we got real emotional people in Philadelphia, man. People would be crying everywhere.
I would cry too if I lived in Philadelphia. Every day, I would cry.
I cried when
just
the Eagles won the
kidding.
Super Bowl.
I know. I'm just teasing. Now, but this goes to show you how cool the community is. A Eagles fan and a Cowboys fan can sit here and converse for an hour and not get in a fight. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool. I got like really. I don't have beef with Cowboy fans like that are like in the Texas area. It's really the Cowboy fans that are here. Like there's like Cowboy fans. Like there's some Cowboy fans in Philadelphia who like. I don't know. They just want to like put their middle finger up to the establishment or whatever, and just rebel rouse, and that drives me nuts.
Wow. Well, that's not cool. I mean, I don't agree with that either, so that's okay. Well, man, that's it for this episode. We got to go watch Game of Thrones now, so we got to get ready. I've got a couple of episodes I'm going to watch to kind of catch me up and refresh my memory of what happened at the end of last season, and I'm excited about that. Dude, thanks so much for being on the show. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem, Mike. Thanks for having me on. Speaking of crying, Game of Thrones final season. Maybe there will be a good cry there. So
there might be.
Probably bawling my eyes out.
Because everybody's going to die. That's pretty much, what you can count on with Game of Thrones. But, Ed, great job. I just really appreciate it. And I'm laughing at the comments. These guys are just killing me. It's hilarious.
I'm really looking forward to going back and checking out the comments, too.
Well, thanks again. Everybody, thanks for watching so much. Hit the like button before you go, if you don't mind, or the dislike button. I don't really care, but I'd prefer a like. Who doesn't? Who doesn't like to be reaffirmed that you're doing a great job? Since this was my 17th episode, Ed, YouTube Hall of Famer, Wesker Griff with us. You want to say any final thoughts, Ed, before we go?
Yes. I want to ask everyone watching now to please make sure this video for Beyond Cardboard gets more views than the one that you did with Mike O. That would really be amazing. Let's blow past the Mike O Beyond Cardboard episode.
Yes, definitely we need to beat Mike O. You need to be the top. Well, you got Ray from Philly. You need to be the top ranked, top viewed baseball collector Beyond Cardboard Philly episode. How about that?
That'd be cool.
Ray's on here, trying to spam my channel here. He's telling everybody to go watch his video. It's like, good grief. What are you going to do? Well,
come on, Ray. That's a violation.
It is. Come on. Well, thanks, guys. We'll catch y'all soon. Go watch Game of Thrones. Go watch Ray from Philly's video. Watch this. Have a great time. Y'all have